The Daytona 500 is one of the most special motorsports events in the world, and most NASCAR stop-motion creators prefer to start their season with the Great American Race. But one creator decided to end his season with Daytona. This creator being Eric Estep and the Double E Cup Series.
Welcome to the Double E Cup Series Season 7 finale.
Eric Estep took his series and made it end in the most fantastic and entertaining way possible. He ended his series seasons with Daytona multiple times. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into both of these races to see who won and how crazy they were. We're going to start here with the Season 7 finale. Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott would lead the field to the green flag, but in the Double E Cup Series, you can't hold the lead for long, especially here at Daytona. And there's plenty of moves being made. You see Jimmie Johnson immediately go to the outside here on the back straightaway, and then he will take the lead. Rounding turn number 4, Denny Hamlin falling back to second. And everybody moving really fast here in Daytona. Couple laps later, Brad Keselowski has worked his way from mid-pack up to the lead. But then here comes the crash. Tony Stewart up and over, and the big one happens on the back straightaway. Many contenders taken out of this one, especially Joey Logano and Tony Stewart, both really good at super speedways. Greg Biffle also involved as well. This would take out some of your contenders for the win and the championship. On the restart is Brad Keselowski, and all of Joe Gibbs Racing has worked their way up into the top 5, contending for this win. Probably going to work together to try to get this victory. And you see all the movement happening in the pack. Lots of movement in Double E Cup Series Daytona races. Nobody can hold their spot for long. Someone's always going to be making a move. Kyle Busch goes to the lead here on Brad Keselowski, moving him back. And look at all these cars that weren't up front now. And now they are 3 wide, and here's your next wreck. Huge crash in the front stretch with Chase Elliott and Ryan Newman. This caution would bring us to overtime, where we would finally decide the Season 7 champion. Kyle Busch had the lead. Jimmie Johnson with a good push around the outside. Some of the mid-pack contenders don't seem to be here, especially Carl Edwards, who made a move there, looking up front. Now here in the Double E Cup Series, you know something's going to happen here on this final lap, something chaotic. You already see the tension in the pack, even with the die-cast cars, as the white flag waves here in Daytona. Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch battling for the championship. They are side by side, and then they're still 3 wide throughout the whole pack, and this is where everybody knew something crazy was about to happen.
2 turns to go here at Daytona. Junior to the outside of Busch. Carl Edwards trying to come to the third lane. To the finish. Around goes the 48. Big crash behind the leaders. Carl Edwards crosses the finish line first. As at least 10 cars involved on the final lap. Carl Edwards crosses the finish line ahead of them all. But Carl Edwards didn't win a race all season, but he won the one that mattered the most. He will celebrate here at Daytona with his first and only win of the season, but boy, it was a big one. Congratulations to Carl Edwards for his first ever Double E Cup Series championship.
Carl Edwards is a Double E Cup Series champion after the most chaotic Daytona race we've ever seen. Amazing race by the Double E Cup Series, but that's not the only Daytona finale he made. Let's take a trip back to Season 2 of Dex. Plenty of movement in the Double E Cup Series at Daytona, so your position will not be held for long. On lap 2, there was already a big crash that took out Kevin Harvick, your pole sitter, and Danica Patrick, of course. Matt Kenseth led the field back to the green flag. This time by, you see your points leader, Denny Hamlin, really far back in the field. Kevin Harvick still racing as well. And you see the tandem draft still existed back in this roster, so those two were able to push their way up with the number 21. Later here in the race, your contenders are starting to show. Even though it is Daytona, you'll still have some big contenders. Speaking of contenders, these guys were taken out in this big crash entering turn number 1. 4-car crash here with the number 22, the 18, and many others. Casey Kane eliminated from the title. You saw many other contenders eliminated from this wreck. This was a truly race-altering crash. Entering turn number 1 at Daytona. Remember, this is Dex. What better way to finish than a green-white checker with only 2 laps to go here in the Daytona Raceway. Look at the movement on this restart. 3 wide for the lead. Plenty of contact being made. The anticipation hyping up. The anticipation been going all season long. The hype building up as they come around to the white flag. It was Matt Kenseth leading, and the whole pack was 3 wide. Everybody knew that this lap would be even crazier than Season 7.
Biffle tries to take the lead. He clears Kenseth. Through 3 and 4 now. Biffle, he goes down the block, and there's contact. The whole field wrecking behind them. Matt Kenseth wins the race. And Denny Hamlin is going to win the championship.
Yes, you heard correctly. Denny Hamlin won the championship. But the last lap crash was massive. An insane crash that took out plenty of contenders. And Denny Hamlin and Matt Kenseth squeezed by to take home the victories. The Daytona 500 will always be one of the biggest events and one of the biggest races in NASCAR stop motion. But something about those Daytona finale races felt special.